Everything has to happen in the same work week.
And thank you.
All right, we'll call the Grand Forks County Commission order. Today is July 5th, 2023. Let's see. All the commissioners, Commissioner Hagan, Commissioner Peach, Commissioner Ian, and myself are present, and Commissioner Rusted is on Zoom. So we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? So moved by Commissioner Peach, second. Anybody?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Ingen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. All right, approval of the order of agenda. Anybody wish to add anything?
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to add the Safe Kids at Grand Forks to the agenda. Just right after the approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right. Second, okay.
Was there a second?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see
Second,
it.
yeah.
Sorry.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried unanimously. Approval of the order. We did that. The consent agenda. Anybody want any bills, employee status changes over time, or anything pulled? Look at.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I
Commissioner
would
Peach.
move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Egan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Safe Kids.
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. I'm Carmen Hanson, the coordinator for Safe Kids Grand Forks. Thank you for adding me to the agenda today. As many of you know, we at Safe Kids have received some grant funding in the past from the state of North Dakota, from the Department of Transportation. And it is designed to carry out much of our pedestrian wheel sports, ATV safety, child passenger safety initiatives. We have resubmitted for a grant with the North Dakota Department of Transportation again. We cover Northeast North Dakota, and so we actually get signatures on the cover letter from all of the counties in which we provide services. And we do that after the grant has been authorized. Because Grand Forks County is where Safe Kids originates, we usually get that as our first cover letter to be sent in, and that has been signed by the commissioner in the past. So you will, I know you have before you a copy of that cover letter that is for the DOT grant for our Safe Kids work that we've had in the past. The state of North Dakota has also reached out to me as the coordinator that coordinates the 4 Safe Kids coalitions in the state, Fargo, Moorhead, Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and then Safe Kids Grand Forks, and asked us to do some more work in the area of heat stroke awareness and prevention. We have already been doing that in the Grand Forks community in our region. Some of the other coalitions have done a little bit of it, but the DOT has funding for them for the purposes of purchasing some equipment that is used. It's digital displays, thermometer displays that are used at outside venues to show the difference between internal and external temperatures. So as the person that coordinates those 4 coalitions in the state, I have submitted the proposal for that as well. So that's a second cover letter that would be a one-time grant that we'd be asking for this year. And it would be not just spent within Grand Forks County or the regions that we serve, but really across the state. And so I asked for any questions that you might have and ask for your signature on those 2 cover letters.
Any questions? right, do I have a motion to approve? So moved by Commissioner Hagan, second by Commissioner Peach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Uh, All those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried unanimous. Okay, yes.
I do have a que- do we have to do two separate or just one together for both signatures?
If you want.
There are two, but I think the motion could include approval.
Okay, all right.
Ms. Hanson, I do have a question. I know newer vehicles now beep to remind you to look in the back seat of your vehicles or whatever, but are we getting the information across about don't forget a child in a car seat, make sure you check your back seat?
Every year, on average in the United States, there's 39 children that die of heat stroke. Interestingly enough, about 54% of the time, they're unintentionally left in the backseat. There are some very, very, very tragic stories across the United States of children who were actually left in the backseat. There was one that died in St. Paul a couple of years ago. Dad was working at a food truck at the state fair, didn't have childcare, left the child in the backseat, cracked the window, left him with the movie and a sippy cup and thought that he'd be fine. A child passed away. There have been situations where there was probably inappropriate behavior going on with parents meeting in a parking lot with somebody else and thought the kid would be fine in the car while they were in another vehicle, you know, where they was intentionally left. And then there are also times, and this is a message that really needs to get out to everybody, where children have toddled off and gotten into another car in the parking lot or in somebody else's driveway. So even if you don't have children of your own in your household, our messaging is really anytime your car is not in use, even if it's in your garage, to lock it and put those keys up and out of sight, not out of reach of kids. We've had stories of kids as old as 9, 10, 11 years old, developmentally disabled, who get into a car and the child lock may be on, which the parents need to have it on so they don't open the car door as they're traveling, but they get in and they can't get out that door, not thinking to check to the front or the other doors, and they perish inside the vehicle. So is there work to be done? There absolutely is. We tragically, I don't know how many of you remember this, but lost a little girl in our community. My daughter just turned 31 last week, and this was the day before her 14th birthday. So 17 years ago, where there was a change in childcare and a change in morning routine. Normally the dad took the child to childcare, and this day the mom did. Dad stayed home with the older child. There was road construction. Mom went a different way than she normally went. She went to work. She came back to Wonder Years on South Washington and said she was there to pick up Kate. And they said Kate was never dropped off that day, and they all ran out to the van, and she had perished in that vehicle that day. So we have that story on a flyer that we put out about 10,000 of those a year. But again, to your point, Commissioner, it's not just the parents and the caregivers that need to know about it. It's everybody, because they could get into a locked car parking out in your parking ramp. The other message that we have is if you ever walk by a vehicle and you see a child in there, to call 911. As a nurse myself, a child can go from being fine to being critically in danger in a very short period of time. And I can tell you, if I call, Sheriff Schneider, he's going to know how to break and enter into that vehicle in a way that's not going to, endanger the people that are inside of it. And your goal isn't really to get anybody in trouble. It is really to potentially save that life. And then, we'll leave it up to the law enforcement officers to decide if, they need to press charges or things like that. But there's a lot of messaging that still needs to happen. And like I said, Safe Kids Grand Forks has been doing it for quite a long time. And this particular grant from DOT, National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, is putting a lot more emphasis on it around the country. And so they're funneling money down to the state and asking the state to do it. So they've reached out to me and said, we'd like all the coalitions to engage in that. So more work to be done.
Thank you for the good work that you do. It's very much appreciated.
Thanks. Yeah, those are horrible calls to get on your phone.
Yep, Karma, I'd like to just say you've done a tremendous job over the years with Safe Kids. I think you really made a difference in this community with your efforts. And I personally have worked with you for many years, and part of what I do is because of you. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It's really a huge team. I mean, we have 200 agencies we partner with, and every year we have about 14,000 hours of volunteer time given toward the work that we do. So it's really a massive team effort. I just get to be the person that thanks people. And ask them to sign papers and give me money, right? So thank you for your support. I know I came on behalf of getting this signature, but the county has been very generous to Save Kids as well. And I appreciate that support that you've given us too.
So this is the only one that I have. Was there a second?
Oh, there's,
Okay.
okay, I'll get you a copy of it.
Okay.
Well, I can run and print.
Can you print it? You know what, I thought I had it too in the second page.
I have both of them.
Do you?
I don't know which one we had decided, but I would like a copy for the record.
Yeah.
On Mr. Ford's desk. Okay.
No,
They're all
no.
the same.
I'll get it for you.
Oh, we have three the same.
Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah.
So I can get copies of
Maybe
each
stroke one.
printed out, yep, and then have you signed, and then if I scan them in, do you need an original copy, or could I just?
Nope, I just scanned this one.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Gracie. You have both of them, but this in tops.
IT director.
Don't worry.
Darren Ross and commissioners, I did forget my glasses, I apologize, so I hope I can see this.
There you go.
I'm okay, I got it, I printed it large. I come asking you to sign a contract for us to put the AS400 into a hosted cloud situation. The AS400 is older software, hardware for us, and it's been a problem. We are moving away from it, but it is failing at such a fast rate that we can't get out of it fast enough for it to not fail on us. So we have partnered with High Plains in Fargo that has done other work for us. They gave us a quote for a physical new server as well. We did get another quote from another vendor for the physical server. That vendor chose not to give us a cloud hosted one, but we basically just need to get it off real hardware and into a virtual server. And we got a price for a 3-year contract, so we can still plan on getting out of it. It wouldn't be for all time. It will be a $13,600 one-time migration into the virtual server, and then $1,450 a month for 3 years. The best thing about requesting this is that I'm not asking for money. The recorder's office has committed to paying the cost out of their preservation fund. They need it the most, but finance, tax, they all use it. It has stuff in it that we can't do without. We would lose data if it went down before we get this done.
Okay.
So it is important, and we do have funding, so I would just request that you sign the contract for it.
Mr. Chair, I would
Commissioner
move
Peach.
approval.
Okay, do I have a second? Commissioner Hagan. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried unanimously.
And I have to quickly go out there and sort and change things again.
It's,
How fast is this becoming a problem? Are you gonna, any day?
Well,
could lose something?
we did in March, it failed. It was a big failure. We actually did lose a few records, but we identified what ones. That one was down for 7 working days. And with this system, they come from Minneapolis to fix it. We had 3 different technicians on in 3 different times in those working days. And they only can replace it with used parts. So it doesn't mean that because you've had things replaced that they're going to be better now. But that was in March. In April, we had another failure. That was hard drives. And then in May, we had another one that was quite small. Neither of those 2 were any downtime. But it just really shows how fast we need to address it. And so I did ask, once this is signed, we will be starting to work on it. It would probably take a couple of months to get it all migrated and tested before we move into it, but it's high on their list, high on our list.
And Mr. Chair, thanks to Garland and her staff for helping out with some financial support. It's very much
Stepping up to
appreciated.
the plate, that's Garland.
Yes, very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Okay. Mr. West.
Afternoon, Chairman Ross, members of the board. One item for consideration. Oh, yep, the map, okay. I don't want to steal Ms. Wongstead's thunder, but she got a letter from the city of Manville attorney stating they were willing to transfer ownership of the lot in question that we were requesting for $1. And that surprised me because I am on their July 10th agenda, which was their next meeting, to make a request, like, hey, would you give us this lot for $1? And they totally jumped the gun, and that didn't come out at a public meeting on their end, but so I'm a little surprised, but great. From my perspective, this is great. And so, yeah, that's what we got. And Ms. Wongstead was working on a purchase agreement, and we'd like to, I guess, we didn't bring a copy of it because we're still working through draft format on staff's end, but looks like they're willing to transfer the land for $1, and we could put a shed on that land if the commission agrees with that.
That's nice.
That's super nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super
that's great.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would just add to what Mr. West had shared that, what he stated is correct, but just so we're all on the same page, their proposal would also include the county, doing the legal work and, covering the closing costs, which should be pretty minimal for a situation.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
It's still a good deal, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
We'd have a whole $1.50.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll pay that part.
I know, I'll pull $1 out of my wallet that I want to get in any legal issue.
So I don't know if I would request a motion
Well, I think
specifically
we
today,
need one.
or,
To accept that proposal?
Well,
or,
Mr. West and I
Well,
are working on a purchase agreement, so once that's finalized, we maybe could bring it to the board. for
Okay.
signature.
Perfect.
All right,
It's exciting.
if it's ready by July 10th, I could bring it to City of Manville for signature, and if they approve it, I can bring it back to the board here for signature, and
The 18th.
maybe that would work, and kind of unofficially, we have an agreement,
Yeah, it's exciting.
so I can start putting plans and specs together very quick,
yeah, I'll bet.
because time's ticking,
Yeah,
so. Any other questions on that topic?
that's great news. Thank you.
It is. One little tidbit, so today I got an email from our good folks at the DOT. And this one, I don't know where this is gonna go, but they claim that the CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, century code for the federal government, is now requiring inspection of privately owned bridges. Yes, I'm rolling my eyes at that if that gets
Is
in the
there
minutes.
any privately owned bridges?
We do have some in the county.
Oh,
Well, aren't
And-
there some privately owned bridges on farmland where people still use the minimum maintenance road to get places and so on?
Well, if it's on a minimum maintenance road, it's still a public
Oh, okay.
section line, so we've been taking care of those. So what comes to mind would be like somebody's driveway.
I see.
And at this point, or up until this point, we've just been all hands off, not our deal. This is your private property, private bridge. You're, Mr. Citizen, this is yours to take care of. Because I've had a couple of those requests, like they want us to come in and fix them and then just keep them at arm's length. However, this is saying that they have to be inspected. And so I immediately questioned it with the logic that public vehicles go over them. Like say it's in a farmyard and the farmer calls up gravel company and says, hey, bring me a load of gravel. He drives a semi load of gravel across the bridge. Well, there you go. So I put together a list of privately owned bridges in the county. Which, to be honest with you, I know of a couple, but there's probably some I don't know about, so I'll enlist.
So who takes care of the repairs?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I don't know.
That would be my question. So then you're gonna tell private citizens that they're forced to pay something that they didn't know was.
There's federal government telling you.
I know, that's what I'm saying, federal government, thanks.
Yeah,
Well, what you could do though, if it's the landowner's responsibility, you could just put a condemned sign, no travel, and until it's fixed, and that puts the owner in charge of getting it taken care of, I suppose, but.
yeah, to me, this is really ugly.
It
And
is
it opens up a huge can of worms, and what I see happening is, you know, the DOT will send a consultant out there to inspect these bridges like they would any other bridge on a publicly owned road. They're gonna come back and they're gonna say, oh, well, now it needs to be posted with a ton limit because it's not strong enough to have a fully loaded truck. And they'll tell us, we gotta go on private property and put up a ton limit sign. And that landowner is gonna get mad for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Do you think, yeah?
And then, but what happens when something happens? What if we have to put up a 20-ton limit sign and a 19-ton truck goes over it and creates a problem? Are we liable for it? County? I mean, not me. I don't know.
Well,
It
have
just,
we ever had that situation where something less than a ton limit caused a crash? I mean, the Northwood thing was kind of a thing like that, but have you ever had one just where ton limit is 10 and an $8,000 truck goes through?
I have
Plow,
never,
I mean?
right, I have never even heard of that.
Okay,
Because usually the inspection and ratings and load rating and that whole process is, in my opinion, extremely conservative. And I've never heard of a lighter truck going through a bridge. A heavier truck like one in Northwood, yeah, that was a 40-ton truck on a 14-ton bridge. I mean, boom,
and it wasn't really the weight that did. No,
I think it was.
it knocked it off the end, didn't it?
That's what he claims. I didn't see any evidence of that, like it pushed the bridge off the abutment. I don't. I guess I didn't see that evidence personally, but.
Yeah, you're fairly credible too, so there you go.
I'm
Barely.
not investigating
Barely.
personally. That's what he claims. I don't know. I mean, that's just a drastic difference.
Yeah.
You know, that's like 3 times heavier.
Yeah.
And then it goes down.
Yeah.
Well, but, so I don't know where this is gonna go, but to me, this is bothersome and more work for us to do, and I don't know.
Apparently they don't have enough to do on the federal highway.
Yeah, but, so that'll be going on behind the scenes.
All right,
Our
thank you.
meeting job starts up on Friday.
What?
Up by the County 12 by Northwood,
Oh,
and then the 1 mile north of Thompson. That we're- so that starts.
If I wanted to know on Highway 2 how much it's costing for that new bridge by Petersburg, who do I call? Or how do I find out? It's a state highway.
Yeah,
US.
definitely a DOT project.
Yeah.
I
If you
guess
find out, let me know. I'm curious.
I can send a quick email to,
Yeah.
I would send it to Ed Pavlish, the DOT district
Yeah,
engineer.
it's a big project.
Yeah.
It's a very big project.
Yeah.
Used a quarter of land and dirt. From a farmer. To build it up. Big one.
Okay.
So I'm curious.
Is that closer to Devil's Lake or Grand
No,
Forks?
it's Petersburg.
Yeah.
It'd be closer to Devil's Lake probably, but I could still be in the Grand Forks region.
Yeah, just depends where that district line is.
Yeah, yeah.
Regardless, we
2
can find
miles,
out.
2 miles east of Petersburg.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
All right, Director of Administration, Gracie, are you gonna address some things?
I can give you a few updates on behalf of Tom Ford here. So there are 3 items, the first 3 airfield equipment building MOU, Northeastern Service Center lease renewal, and Miller Dunwoody professional services contract. All 3 of those are just about there, but just need a little bit of extra time. The airfield equipment building MOU, that is for a Grand Sky equipment building that state of North Dakota provided a county with the $7 million enhanced use lease. You're all familiar with that. And so this building would be built with that money, but then from the county by Granite Sky, they would be responsible for services and utilities. There's no cost to the agreement. It would just be used for storage purposes. And so just working through the last little bits of that. That should be ready by the 18th for your review. As far as the Northeast Human Services lease extension, I know they have some review that still needs to be done. And I believe that MOU is at the Grand Sky one up there.
Yeah.
Unless you sent a clean copy, we don't have the most updated version today because Tom was out, so it's not ready for signature. So that would be, again, be coming back on the 18th. To my understanding, Northeast Human Service Center lease extension, that just has a few more things that needs to go through on their end, I believe, before coming back to us. And then the Miller Dunwoody professional service contract, the lead on that at Miller Dunwoody said that he needed to just do a review of that, and that wouldn't be completed until today. So that'll be coming to us on the 18th. And then as far as the Grand Forks County parking ramp, I know we talked about that today a little bit during the budget, just because that was listed in capital improvements. And so I got some clarification from Tom. I know that that dollar amount was in there for 20 million. That is not the case. It is still substantial, but not quite that bad. The recommendations from a structural analysis for rehabilitation that occurred had, if we were to rehabilitate what we currently have, I know that there are conversations with the city about potentially selling to them, but they do not appear interested in that. And so there are a few other options, but rehabilitating would likely be the most cost effective, and that would be about 3.5 million over 2 years to do the biggest pieces of it. The most important pieces, with the expectation then over the next 20-year period for a maintenance plan costing about 3 million. So about 152,500 each year, but that does not account for inflation, and you can expect, so that would be expected to go up to meet real costs. And then I do have a note that says add 5% to each estimate for 2023 costs. And so Tom will be able to bring that back with more information, but not quite as bad as the 20 million, but still substantial for planning purposes as we look at capital improvement budgets. Those would be the big pieces.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
For Ms. Nelson. We do have some bonded funds though to help support that. Yes or no? We didn't pass it.
Just the courthouse, right? They don't, you know,
Yeah, we did a loan on the dome. Originally, we were gonna bond, and there was maybe going to be some excess funds in that, but we didn't do that.
yeah.
We just did the loan on the dome.
But in the future, that may be something we may want to consider. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be something that has to be rehabbed. It's used by our staff. It's used by people coming in to pay taxes, whatever the case may be, whatever business they have. When there's a court case or whatever, and there's jury individuals, or they're interviewing potential jury members, I think we're gonna have to figure out in long term how we're gonna be able to afford that. So that may be something we'll have to look at in the future. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, State's Attorney.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I do have one request today. I'm requesting the approval to hire 2 additional interns in our office for the fall semester, this 2023 fall semester. The reason for that is normally our office each semester has 2 paid interns and 2 externs, meaning the externs are working for credit through the law school program. We've been informed that the law school is short-staffed and they're behind on staffing that position and getting the externship program up and running. And so as of right now, it isn't up and running and we won't have externs for the fall semester. So my request is to have 2 additional interns. So we still have 4 intern externs. So it's the same number of positions. It would just be 4 paid positions rather than our normal 2 paid positions. The good news of my request is that I do not need a budget amendment because we have also been short-staffed earlier this year. We have only utilized 20% of our hourly employee budget. So I think that we could have these 2 additional employees for the fall semester and still fit it within our budget allocation.
Questions? All right, thank you. Oh, we gotta have approval. We have a motion to approve the 2 interns. Commissioner Peach, second Commissioner Hagan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Committee reports. Mr. Rustad, you want to start?
My only new committee report is I kind of got called into one today. Because there wasn't anybody else to sit in on it. And it was basically had to do with some allocation of funds for airbase retention. I wasn't pulled in as a voting member, just as a kind of somebody from the county that could be a bear witness basically. And that body that's put together by I believe at the behest of the mayor, elected to channel those funds through the Chamber of Commerce. I think it's waiting it was a little bit of a choppy signal this morning, but my understanding is it's still awaiting approval from another body as well. I don't know, to me, I didn't really understand what the big deal was because it was kind of a small sum of money, but they felt that was appropriate. And so that was the extent of it. I think the minutes will be coming out tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hagan. Okay, Commissioner Peach.
A couple of things. We have been discussing staff wages and how to balance out the sheriff's department, starting with wages increments on July 1st. So I want to move that as of October 1st of 2023, there is a 5% COLA. Is that correct, Ms. Nelson?
Market adjustment.
5% market adjustment be made. It will be around $147,000, and those funds would come from CARES Act funds. That is the first motion I would like to make.
Okay. Commissioner Hagan, you second that? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think we need to exclude the sheriff's deputies. I think that
Oh,
was.
no, yeah, excluding sheriff's deputies. I apologize. Thank you. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Andy probably wouldn't be buying more money, but. Sorry.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Yes, question.
Discussion. How does this affect 24, Debbie?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Engen, how does it affect 2024? It's in the budget hearing we had earlier today, that includes this already. So that's effective January 1st, the 5%, but now you're giving it October 1st instead of January.
Okay, when you said 147,000, is that for the
2023, that is the cost for 2023.
right? Okay, and what else are we going to be considering as far as dollar amounts in the next motion?
No dollar amounts today, but into the new budget for 2024, it would be an additional 2%.
So we haven't
Got there yet?
discussed.
Oh, sorry, I'm making it up as I go.
So this one would be, so a motion we decide now. Does the continuation of that, going to the budget discussion before we finish the budget? Or what?
The 5%, if you approve it as of October 1st, it will go into 2024. The scale would be 5% higher for everybody other than the sheriff's deputies.
And that's what we've been talking about that for some time now, and that would seem to fit into something we can afford, I think.
Right.
All right. Want to put it in perspective.
Thank you.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the employees will be very happy with that. The other thing, based on conversations with HR and I believe from our juvenile, I don't want to call it juvenile assessment youth center. What? Youth Assessment Center. I would like to move that we end the contract with Berkey Hansen for, it was originally placed for, I believe, building or assistance with the building project. I believe it has to be a 30-day notice before that ends. But in order to save money, I would like to move forward on that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rusted. Any comments?
Just
Okay.
a question on what amount that is going forward. I didn't quite catch that this morning.
$2,100 a month.
$2,100 a month,
Okay.
approximately, maybe it was 2,100 something, but it was approximately $2,100 a month.
The contract provides for $2,083.33 a
Less than
month,
$2,100.
Yeah, sure.
which is 25,000 per year.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried unanimously.
That is all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, just
Yeah.
clarification, so, like we stated, the contract allows for a 30-day written notice to terminate. I'm not sure at what point in the month she is paid. When do you want this effective? If we sent it now, it would be the 5th or 6th of August. She paid earlier than that, or,
In a typical rental situation, if you miss the deadline and try to terminate someone on the second of the month, you can't do it until the next month. Kind of in that
yeah,
category,
so
so
we,
September 1st then?
whenever the payment.
30 days after. the
30 days
last
from that
notice.
point.
30 days from the last payment?
I
would
would
think so.
think,
Well, but the written notice
After
has to
today.
be 30 days in advance, so if we sent the written notice tomorrow, the 6th, it would be effective August 6th, but I don't know how, we'd have to pay pro rata for the 6 days in August. Would it be easier to do the first of the month, or?
No, fine.
okay. So
30 days from tomorrow.
to 30 days from tomorrow. And who's gonna do the notice? Who's gonna draw the notice up?
I can work with Robin to prepare that.
Okay. Okay, all right.
You're okay with that? 30 days?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay.
Well, you and I were at the change of command for the
Oh, yeah.
wing out at the air base. Very impressive and so well done. It's fun to see the Air Force when they get into ceremonial mode once in a while.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, we've all been participating as a committee in the budget hearings. That's all I have.
Okay. What he said, that's all I got to report.
That's easier.
Okay, unfinished business.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I have the wrong commitment letter scanned in. That's actually the one you already approved for the 5 million. This is a commitment letter for the 15 million that you approved. And so I need a motion for the chair to sign this commitment letter, not the one that's scanned, not the 5 million. It's the
that's for-
$15 million loan on the correctional center Youth Assessment Center expansion.
Okay,
I'll make that motion.
okay. Commissioner Ian makes the motion. Do I have a second? Commissioner Peach? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Correspondence.
Mr. Chairman, that's just notifying you of a date that you can comment on that proposed structure replacement.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hagan?
Can you make a motion to adjourn, please?
Okay,
She was ready.
is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hagan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. That was a fast meeting.
Not a record though.
Yeah,
Good work.
barely.